All right, so with it being the summer solstice, I thought it'd be cool to come outside and read the next couple of stanzas out looking at the moon. My phone doesn't really do it justice, but the moon's looking really beautiful tonight. So let's get into it. Stanza 13. It's as if a memory-stealing heron broods overhead while you drink and steals your mind away. I myself have been trapped in that bird's feathers when I drank at Gunlaud's home. I was drunk. I was too drunk at wise Fjalar's house. And the best kind of feast is the one you go home from with all your wits about you. A noble man should be silent, thoughtful, and bold in battle. But every man should also be cheerful and happy till the inevitable day of death. An unwise man thinks he'll live forever if only he can avoid a fight. But old age will give him no peace, even if weapons do. It's a fool who stares when he comes to a feast. He talks to himself or he broods as soon as he gets a drink. He'll say everything he knows. Fuck, I don't have anything. When I think about stanzas 13 and 14, it reminds me of this time many years ago. This is over 10 years ago. Uh, I at the time I had my license to grow weed, and I had a patient, that I grew for. And when you're doing that, you're in this like community of growers and patients, and you talk amongst each other and you do deals for plants and nutrients and growing supplies, and then when you have a surplus amount, you talk to people, like when you have a surplus amount of flour, more than you need to give to your patient or whatnot, then you'll find uh, like a dispensary or something to sell your excess stuff to. And I was had this like house party one time, trying to talk to somebody, this guy, about doing deals like that. And yeah, I was so drunk that it was impossible to discuss any kind of logistics or numbers or anything with him. And like after a while I could tell how annoyed he was that I had even tried starting to discuss that with him instead of just hanging out at the party and having a good time. And that's like always been a memory that stuck with me, where I felt kind of foolish for trying to talk about business while I while I was really drunk, when I should have just been not drinking that much, because then I had to have my brother-in-law drive me home. But should have just been hanging out, socializing, instead of trying to talk about, money and numbers and things like that. Uh, but it's good to be able to be critical of yourself about something like that in the past, and not just let it defeat you and make you feel like you're a complete fool or idiot, because you can always learn from your past mistakes. When I think about stanza 15, this reminds me of how differently I'd act in front of fellow soldiers while being in uniform compared to how I'd act in front of my family. Or like the really easy example is like, I don't act the same. I'm not in the military anymore, been out for a long time, but in the past I wouldn't act the same way in front of my daughter that I would in front of a fellow soldier. In like when I was in uniform, or like even when I'm at work now. I don't have to use the military as an example. When I'm at work, I'm very serious. Like, I don't joke around while I'm working. Um, like I take my job very seriously, as do all the other people that I work with. And when we're talking about work, we're serious and we're to the point. And if we make a mistake, then and some part goes out of our shop, then because we work on plane engine parts and other things, then somebody's liable to get hurt. So it's important to be serious. In I mean, every job you should be serious. But then when you get home, you're not trying to be some serious, stern jackass with your family. You got to be. Uh, your family has to like you. You know, so you have to be an enjoyable person to be around. Otherwise, I mean, you're not going to convince a woman to marry you if you're not. And and if you have kids, you definitely want your kids to like you. So even though you do have to instill discipline in your children, you still got to be uh, a father that your kids enjoy spending time with. And that's what this stanza 15 reminds me of: a time and place for when and how you should act. Stanza 16 just stanza 16 reminds me of like people that say there's never a good time to be violent, or they think that never there's never a good time to fight, or like violence never solved anything. like like tons of times throughout history, violence has solved a lot of things. um I think it's important, though, to understand when to implement it. You know, like, uh, I mean, you can't just, like, if your kid spills their cereal bowl on the table, that's not the time to be violent. You know, oh God, you definitely don't want to be one of those, one of that kind of a parent. Uh, But if somebody is trying to abduct your child, well, then that's definitely a time to use violence, right? And protect your children, you know. Um, and like, and it also reminds me of the idea of like thinking that as long as you like, how to explain it, like, if you don't put any, not necessarily bad vibes out there, but like if you're not like ever ever violent or mean or rude or intimidating, well, then that won't ever come your way. When in fact, I think that it's more likely to come your way if You don't portray yourself as somebody that's physically capable and able to defend either yourself or your family members or your children, or or whoever you're with when somebody tries to attack you or something like that. Stay strapped. um Stanza 17. This kind of has always reminded me of like the either the awkward dude at the party that doesn't know how to socialize, or it reminds me of the dude who just won't shut up and is trying to be the life of the party, but is obnoxious. Uh, you know, the, there's always that guy when you're like playing beer pong and and he's throwing the ball way too hard and knocking over cups, and he thinks it's funny, and causing a ruckus, or you know uh just trying to become the center of attention in every conversation at a social gathering, and drinking too much, and either being a loud obnoxious asshole, or being a guy just brooding in the corner, thinking that the whole everybody is against him because they're being antisocial, and and just like the stanza said, he talks to himself and broods, like who's brooding, like you're sitting there fuming with your own stupid thoughts about so and so's thinking this, so and so's thinking that. Oh, I tried to say this, or I tried to instigate a conversation with this person or this chick, and then she's not giving any attention to me. It's like this stanza reminds me of a person that doesn't know how to socialize correctly, and then once they do get given any amount of attention, well, then like it says, he'll say everything, and he'll say anything that he knows. So then it's just like it it reminds me of people that kind of like lie out their ass, like all the time. Like they'll just be telling these stories and telling a story, and it's like, that the story is bullshit. Everybody's got a friend like this, like the at a party drinking, and then you listening to this guy that just tell story after story that's complete utter nonsense, and it's like some of the most annoying stuff to have to deal with. Well, hopefully as time goes on I can get better at doing this, but I'm gonna get ready for bed. I had a long day at work. I hope you guys have a good night. So I'll talk to you later.